Welcome to Charts Today. My name is David Linton, and today's edition for Monday the 26th of June comes to you from Bermuda. I'm here for the America's Cup Finals, and it looks like it might be over today. Anyway, we start to look at the dollar index, and the dollar is still just really flat on this whole chart here. We see that on the daily chart for the last several weeks we've just really hovered at this level. And that's showing up in the 60-minute chart. We're just hovering up and down below the cloud. So at the moment we're bearish below the cloud. We do have an upside target on the point and figure chart, but we have quite strong resistance to hit there. And of course the weekly chart still looks bullish, and the daily chart bearish. So still a very mixed picture. And if you look at euro dollar, much the same. We're struggling to get through resistance on the cloud on the weekly chart. We've got downside targets still hanging over us. On the daily chart we've got upside, we're above the cloud, and on the 60-minute chart we're above the cloud as well, but we do have this downside target of 109, so that is hanging over us on the euro. When we look at the Japanese yen, we see dollar strength here, yen weakness, and the yen is normally what is known as the risk-on trade. So the fact the yen is falling shows that the appetite for risk is increasing. So we're seeing that the dollar strength here is starting to show through, and we're on the verge of making a transition, both long and medium term, on the dollar yen, where the dollar will take the upper hand. Looking at sterling just falling right now, but it's stronger this morning. It has been stronger the last couple of days, and we are bullish still above the cloud, but hitting quite strong resistance. Bullish in the medium term chart, but the long term chart is still bearish against sterling. Looking at against the euro, it's much weaker here. We see the long term and the medium term, and the short term chart is still just above the cloud, but we've got a lot of downside targets hanging over us, so we expect sterling to fall sooner or later. Against the Swiss franc, much the same picture, and against the Australian dollar, again similar picture, downside targets, bearish in the long term, maybe soon turning bearish in the medium term. The S&P 500 index on Friday just was fairly flat. We see on the weekly chart we still look very, very strong, and we do have this upside target now of about 4% to 25.33. So in the moment we're 24.38, so another 100 points roughly on the S&P 500 looks quite doable. The Nasdaq has recovered. We did get back above this 5,800 level on the Nasdaq 100, so it looks like a recovery in train. 8% upside on the medium term chart, 14% on the long term chart. And we're looking at Dow Jones index. We're seeing here again a bit of a weaker day on Friday, but still looking bullish above the clouds. And the Russell 2000 index did have a recovery on Friday, so looking stronger on the broader market. And so we're seeing that showing through. The S&P 100 index, the future is up this morning by about 1/4%, so it does suggest markets will open higher, and the Nasdaq E-mini the same, up 1/4%, looking better, so markets looking stronger now. FTSE 100 up this morning by nearly 2/3%, so we are just seeing some recovery there, and the FTSE 250 as well, not looking as bullish as the US indices though. The DAX recovering as well, back above the cloud, and multiple upside targets here we see here on this shorter term chart. We've got targets to about 5%. 1% is the interim target, and 5% the bigger targets. And the Nikkei, with that weaker yen, looking a bit stronger as well. Hang Seng looking stronger, turning bullish above the cloud, and the local Chinese market very strong on Friday, in addition to the MCI index helping lift China here, so that's looking better. The Sensex, the Indian market, is closed today for a public holiday, and the Australian market is just trying short term to recover, but the medium term chart is weakening, so it's one of the few markets that's not really running at the moment. Brent crude bouncing off the bottom last couple of days, so we are just seeing some recovery, and on the short term chart we're just through here as well, but we still have these downside targets hanging over us into the low 40s for Brent. And if we look at WTI, much the same picture here. We're seeing again a recovery. We've kind of recovered to the level we looked to on that cloud, on the point and figure thrust. We're through on the cloud, but we still do have quite big downside targets hanging over us. Nat gas US back nudging the $3 mark to just turn bullish short term. Copper also looking a little bit better here and rising in the short term. Got some upside targets here of about 3%, clustering to that level, so that's quite good. Taking a look at gold, gold really just plummeting the last hour or two. So this is the risk off trade. So the risk on trade normally is gold, as is yen, we mentioned. So the appetite for risk is increasing, and the risk trade is decreasing. So we're seeing gold just falling away here. Still the medium and long term charts are bullish, but the short term chart has turned bearish, and the same is true of silver, just moving lower as well. Taking a look at treasury yields, 10-year yields very flat at 2.15%. Apple, in terms of tech stocks, Apple is the one stock I've been slightly worried about, just not quite recovering. And we see on the Nasdaq chart we're above the cloud. We haven't quite moved above the high point that we saw just over a week ago. So we do have upside targets, 6% here, for example, but just need Apple to break that previous high. It's on the verge of doing it, but it's just lagging the market a little bit. Looking at Google, however, we're through the cloud with new upside targets. So Google looking strong. Same with Amazon, looking strong, back above the cloud. Facebook moving higher again and looking strong. And Microsoft just starting to recover through the cloud as well, so that's looking better. So all in all, the market's looking pretty good. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.